Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore, Maryland, and the show just ended. And Dynamite tonight, I thought the show was very mid, in my opinion. This was not a good show tonight. Very mediocre it was. We had Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Bandito. They ended up taking on the Jericho Appreciation Society, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, Daniel Garcia, and Jake Hager. We had Saraya in action, and she ended up taking on Willow Nightingale. This feud between Will Nightingale and the Outcasts, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. This feud's still going on. I don't even care. We had a Tres de Mayo Trios Battle Royal, which the winners don't get anything. This was just a random Battle Royal. We had Wardlow in action. Wardlow ended up squashing another jobber. Ricky Starks ended up taking on Juice Robinson. And the main event, it was a 4 Pillars tag team match. Darby Allin and Jungle Boy teamed up to take on Sammy Guevara and MJF. If either Darby Allin or Jungle Boy pinned Guevara or MJF, the match at Double or Nothing for the World Championship would become a 4-way match. So MJF would have to defend the title against Guevara, Jungle Boy, and Darby Allin. But overall, Dynamite tonight, very mid-show. Not that good of a show tonight. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Dynamite opened up tonight with Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bandito, and Orange Cassidy versus the Jericho Appreciation Society, Angelo Parker, Matt Menard, Jake Hager, and Daniel Garcia. And this was a fun match. Of course, Orange Cassidy and Bandito end up coming out first. Orange Cassidy starts off Dynamite again. I wouldn't be surprised. Orange Cassidy opens Dynamite again next week, where he's going to be defending the International Championship against Daniel Garcia next week on Dynamite. So what is it with Orange Cassidy starting off Dynamite every single week? I mean, I'm a fan of Orange Cassidy, but TK is just having Orange Cassidy just go out there every single week and open the show. If you have Orange Cassidy going out there and opening the show every single week, people are going to start to get tired of it. And everybody loves Orange Cassidy. I'm an Orange Cassidy fan. But if TK starts making him come out every single week, starting off Dynamite, like I said, it's going to get tiring. But like I said, this match, was a fun match. The match started off with Roderick Strong and Angelo Parker. It was awesome to see Adam Cole and Roderick Strong teaming up again. All we just need is Kyle O'Reilly to come back. Bobby Fish, I don't know if Bobby Fish is going to come back. A lot of controversy around Bobby Fish. You heard that Bobby Fish doesn't like CM Punk. So Bobby Fish, he may not be coming back to AEW. But who knows? So Roderick Strong started laying some offense on Angelo Parker. Strong then made the tag to Bandito. So there was a point where these teams were all in the ring and they started going at it. So we had Orange Cassidy end up taking down Jake Hager with a DDT. And he ended up going for a dive to the outside to Hager. Hager ended up catching Orange Cassidy in midair, which allowed Daniel Garcia to hit a knee to Orange Cassidy's back. So Bandito ended up dropping Hager with a dive to the outside, and Adam Cole then made his way out of the ring. And he went up the ramp to confront Jericho, and it got cut off by the Jericho Appreciation Society because Jericho was on commentary for the match. So Hager ended up going to work on Orange Cassidy on the ring apron. Angelo Parker and Bandito got back into the ring. Bandito ended up holding up Angelo Parker as Bandito was trying to go for a delayed vertical suplex. He was counting it. And then Bandito took forever with the count to just nail Angelo Parker with the vertical suplex, which that allowed Angelo Parker to get involved. So we had Bandito end up trying to lift Angelo Parker for a vertical suplex, but Bandito ended up hitting both Menard and Parker with the suplex, which was very cool. So then Dynamite went to commercial. Of course, we had the picture-in-picture. So then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Danny Garcia ended up getting the tag, and he ended up attacking Orange Cassidy. He walked on Orange Cassidy's back, and then Garcia ended up taunting Bandito. So Danny Garcia then tagged in Jake Hager. Jake Hager came in, and he locked in the bear hug on Orange Cassidy. And then Jake Hager ended up hitting a shoulder tackle to Orange Cassidy. Hager ended up making the tag to Matt Menard. And Matt Menard ended up keeping Orange Cassidy from making a tag. So Orange Cassidy ended up delivering a Stun Dog Millionaire to Matt Menard, which allowed Orange Cassidy to tag in Roderick Strong. So Roderick Strong ended up taking down the Jericho Appreciation Society. He ended up hitting a back suplex on Jake Hager. Roderick Strong ended up going for the cover, and Jake Hager ended up kicking out. Which I forgot to mention, this was Roderick Strong's AEW in-ring debut here. So, so Roderick Strong, very good in the ring. So we had Orange Cassidy end up tagging in. Orange Cassidy tried to do a orange punch to Danny Garcia, but he ended up missing it because Danny Garcia ended up locking Orange Cassidy in the sharpshooter. So Bandito ended up delivering a kick to Danny Garcia, breaking up the sharpshooter. So Orange Cassidy delivered the orange punch on Jake Hager, and we had Orange Cassidy ended up going for the orange punch to Danny Garcia, but Danny Garcia countered that into a near fall, to which Orange Cassidy ended up kicking out. So both Cassidy and Garcia got to their feet, and Danny Garcia ended up delivering a chop to Orange Cassidy, but Orange Cassidy ended up delivering some chops of his own to Danny Garcia. So Angelo Parker ended up tagging in. Orange Cassidy and Bandito ended up diving to the outside. Roderick Strong made a blind tag. Roderick Strong took down Angelo Parker. So Adam Cole ended up tagging in, and he ended up doing the boom on Angelo Parker. So Adam Cole ended up going for the pin. And there you go. Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bandito, and Orange Cassidy end up winning the match. So right after Adam Cole ended up pinning Angelo Parker, he rushed out of the ring, and he ended up going after Jericho, of course, who was on commentary. So Adam Cole started beating down on Chris Jericho. Security then came out to break things up between Adam Cole and Jericho. So Jericho was, of course, screaming, saying, "Get him out of here! Get him out of here!" But pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this was a very fun match here with these teams. It was very chaotic. And, I really liked Adam Cole and his focus on, going after Jericho, setting up, the match, that they're going to have at Double or Nothing. So, very much looking forward to that match when it happens. Cole and Jericho are going to deliver. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was backstage. She was interviewing Jungle Boy and Darby Allin about their Four Pillars tag team match later on tonight, where they're going to be taking on Guevara and MJF. So Jungle Boy ended up telling Renee that him and Darby Allin might not like each other, but they both have the goal of getting their spots in the main event of Double or Nothing. So Darby ended up agreeing with Jungle Boy. Darby Allin stated that tonight, it's showtime. So pretty much that was basically that. Jungle Boy and Darby Allin coexisting with them taking on Guevara and MJF in the main event. So then, as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we saw security. They were escorting Adam Cole out of the arena. Jericho ended up coming out to yell at Adam Cole. And then Britt Baker confronted Jericho. So pretty much that was basically that. I'm glad that Britt Baker is being put into this feud with Adam Cole and Jericho. Of course, since the Jericho Appreciation Society and also the Outcasts end up being down on Adam Cole and Britt Baker, a few weeks back on Dynamite, where you had, the Outcasts end up being down on Britt Baker with the kendo stick, and Adam Cole being handcuffed to the ropes. And then we saw a promo from the Blackpool Combat Club. Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli. So Bryan Danielson ended up declaring himself the best wrestler today. He ended up saying that if not him, then one of his fellow Blackpool Combat Club crew. So Moxley ended up talking about how they've been trying to sharpen the rest of the roster, including Kenny Omega. Moxley ended up saying that we'll see what he's really all about next week inside a steel cage. So next week on Dynamite, it's going to be Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley in a steel cage. Very much looking forward to the match. As how long Moxley starts to bleed, I give it about maybe 5 minutes in the steel cage match next week. I give 5 minutes until Moxley starts bleeding in the match. I mean, does every match that Moxley has, does he really need to bleed? No. He doesn't have to bleed in every single match. But like I said, very much looking forward to the steel cage match next week. And then we had Saraya of the Outcasts. More like the Borecasts. Soraya ended up taking on Will Nightingale. Boring. Absolutely boring. So Soraya ended up making her way out to the ring, accompanied by Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. And out came Will Nightingale. So the match got underway with Soraya leaving the ring. She ended up saying that she's not ready to take on Will Nightingale. So that allowed the Outcast to intercept on Will Nightingale. Saraya then sneaked up with an attack on Nightingale, and Will Nightingale turned it around on Saraya. The Outcasts provided a distraction, but Willow ended up stopping Saraya's sneak attack because Saraya was going to go for another sneak attack on Will Nightingale. So Will Nightingale ended up going for the cover. Saraya kicked out. Nightingale ended up sending Saraya into the corner. Nightingale kept up on the attack on Saraya. And Toni Storm end up getting involved. Tony Storm end up grabbing Nightingale's ankle as Ruby Soho end up distracting the ref. So Saraya took advantage of the distraction, and we had Saraya end up sending Will Nightingale out of the ring. So Saraya kept the ref distracted, and we had Tony Storm and Ruby Soho end up delivering some kicks to Nightingale. So then Dynamite went to commercial, and as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Will Nightingale ended up going for the cover on Saraya, but Saraya ended up kicking out. Saraya then continued to attack on Nightingale, which allowed for Nightingale to hit an inside cradle on Saraya. So Saraya kicked out. So Saraya ended up going to pin Will Nightingale. Nightingale ended up kicking out. Nightingale ended up hitting Saraya with the Death Valley driver. And that led to Tony Storm and Ruby Soho hopping on the ring apron to keep the count from being made. So Ruby Soho ended up hitting Nightingale with a pounce, and Nightingale ended up dropping Tony Storm off the ring apron. Then Saraya ended up dropping Nightingale. Saraya ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Saraya ended up winning the match. Post-match, the Outcasts ended up attacking Nightingale, and Hikaru Shida ended up returning. Hikaru Shida has been off TV for months, so she ended up saving Will Nightingale, or so we thought. So Hikaru Shida ended up hugging the Outcasts. It was indicating that Hikaru Shida was going to join the Outcasts. So she ended up having the spray paint in her hand, Hikaru Shida, and it looked like she was going to give Will Nightingale the L on her with the spray paint. And all we saw was Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. They ended up showing up from behind. So we had Hikaru Shida end up spraying Saraya with the spray paint in Saraya's face. And so we had Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, and Jamie Hayter end up taking down the Outcasts. So it was a double turn for Hikaru Shida. It looked like she was going to join the Outcasts, turn heel. But then we saw Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker come in. And then, Hikaru Shida spraying the spray paint in Saraya's face. So, baby face there. Hikaru Shida being a baby face. So, Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, and Jamie Hayter ended up taking down the Outcasts. Hikaru Shida ended up spray painting AEW across the Outcasts. And we had Hikaru Shida, Jamie Hayter, and Britt Baker end up embracing the ring. And pretty much that was basically that. Overall, the match was boring between Saraya and Will Nightingale. But, Hikaru Shida's return, was cool. And it's nice to see that Hikaru Shida is going to be teaming with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. But really, let's move on from, this Outcasts and, Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker shit. Let's move on from it. Let's end it at Double or Nothing. And then we saw the House of Black. So, the House of Black, they end up establishing that there's going to be a open house rules for the Trios Championship. So, they win the Trios Championship and already, open challenge. This is what you got for the House of Black? Now that, that they're Trios champions and we're going to do just open challenges? Man, the House of Black, they're in a video package or promo, but they're not featured, in ring, having matches, but yet Jeff Jarrett has more matches on TV than the House of Black. Jeff Jarrett has more matches than Miro or Keith Lee. Jeff Jarrett is being featured more on TV than the House of Black, Keith Lee, and Miro. Why? And then we had the Tres de Mayo Trios Battle Royal. So we saw the Acclaimed in there. We saw QT Marshall, Aaron Solo. We saw, Josh Woods, Ari Daivari. Got Alex Reynolds, John Silver in there. The Lucha Brothers. We got Kip Sabian, Butcher and the Blade. So, but match, it's just your typical battle royal. The winners of the match win nothing. This was just a random battle royal put together. So I'm like, when I saw them announce this, I'm like, why are we getting a battle royal where there is nothing on the line for whoever wins? And I said, the winners of this battle royal get nothing. Just very random to be put on Dynamite tonight. And the only reason why they did this is because Cinco de Mayo is on Friday, and they're calling it Tres de Mayo because, it's May 3rd today. But the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn end up winning the match where they end up eliminating the Butcher and Kip Sabian. So, pretty much that was that. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was backstage with Sammy Guevara, and MJF ended up coming in. Guevara ended up calling MJF out for, the backseat being empty last week because MJF ended up getting limo saying, oh, it's already full, where there was no one in there. So MJF then started to get emotional. He ended up saying for over a year, he's had chronic back pain from carrying AEW, and he needed to lay down in the back seat. He ended up saying that he was worried Guevara wouldn't want to be friends with him anymore. So Guevara then ended up kissing MJF on the head. He ended up forgiving MJF, and they ended up hugging it out. And pretty much that was basically that. And then we saw Kenny Omega and Don Callis. They were both backstage. Don Callis ended up showing the scar on his head that Jon Moxley ended up causing him. When, of course, the Blackpool Combat Club ended up attacking Don Callis backstage and Omega. And then you saw Don Callis bleeding, which that was, a real thing that happened. So I guess when Jon Moxley ended up knocking out Don Callis, I think, hit something, and he really was bleeding profusely. He was busted open. So Callis ended up saying that he thinks about Moxley every day. And he remembers that Moxley might have the heaviest hands. But in the battle of wills between those hands and his brain and Omega's talent, Moxley loses every time. And he'll find that out next week. So Omega ended up saying that we all know Moxley can fight. And he might make him bleed. But he will not be the one left standing. So Omega ended up saying that it ends next week. So there you go. Looking forward to the match next week with Omega and Moxley in the steel cage. And then we had a Wardlow squash match. The TNT champion Wardlow ended up coming out. He ended up taking on Logan Laroux. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Of course, Wardlow ended up winning Powerbomb Symphony. So, pretty much that was that. Post-match, Wardlow called out Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. And Wardlow ended up calling out for a TNT challenge, basically an open challenge for the TNT Championship. So Luchasaurus and Christian Cage end up coming out. Christian Cage ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that he could send Luchasaurus down if he wanted to. But he ended up saying that's not going to happen, especially not in Baltimore. So Christian ended up trash talking the fans, and Christian Cage ended up saying that the title shot doesn't belong to Luchasaurus. It belongs to him. So pretty much that was basically that. So we're going to get Wardlow versus Christian Cage for the TNT Championship. Do I care? No. I don't care about anything surrounding the TNT Championship. The TNT Championship is fucking a mockery. It is a mockery. It's a hot potato title. It's like AEW's 24/7 title. The TNT Championship has lost all of its prestige. Everything with the TNT Championship going forward, I don't care about. I don't. The TNT Championship needs to be booked better and get off of this hot potato train. Have one person hold the title for a long period of time. We don't need, oh, it goes to this person. Oh, it goes to that person. Oh, it goes to Wardlow. Oh, it goes to Christian Cage. Oh, it goes back to Wardlow. TK needs to book the TNT Championship much better and have a guy hold it for as long as possible. If they keep doing this, I don't care about the TNT Championship going forward. It's a joke of a title. It's a mockery. And then we saw Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh. They ended up going to the Briscoe farm. So Mark Briscoe ended up answering the door, had a child in hand, and Jeff Jarrett and the group wanted to lend a hand and help out Briscoe. So footage was shown of Jeff Jarrett and the group working on the farm. So Jeff Jarrett was like, oh, how about I sing My Baby Tonight? And then he stopped because, of course, that's copyrighted by WWE. So Papa Briscoe ended up turning up. He ended up telling his son, Mark Briscoe, to keep his eye on the rest of the clowns. And Jay Lethal then ended up challenging FTR for a AEW World Tag Team Championship match. So, there you go. So we're going to get Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal and FTR at Double or Nothing. Like I said, what is with this big push for Jeff Jarrett? He's being pushed more than a Keith Lee, than a Miro, than the House of Black. I mean, who wants to see Jeff Jarrett on TV? It's 2023, and Jeff Jarrett's getting a big push on AEW television. So then we had Ricky Starks versus Juice Robinson. And this was a pretty good match here. We had Ricky Starks end up coming out first, and then Juice Robinson made his way out. Juice Robinson was accompanied by Jay White. So the match got underway. Starks ended up sending Juice Robinson out of the ring. Robinson was sent into the barricade from Starks. Robinson then turned things around by going after Starks' eyes, raking Starks' eyes. And we had Starks end up countering a pile driver attempt from Juice Robinson. And then he ended up laying a back body drop to Juice Robinson. So the fight continued on the outside. Juice Robinson ended up sending Starks into the ring steps. And then Robinson ended up rolling Starks into the ring. And Robinson ended up hitting a big body slam on Starks onto the floor. So we had Robinson end up setting the steps up. He ended up bringing Starks back up to his feet. Robinson ended up poisoning him up, but Starks ended up reversing, and he ended up using the steps to hit a elevated body slam, which sent Robinson crashing hard onto the floor. You just heard that thump to Juice Robinson on the floor, which that had to hurt. So then Dynamite went to commercial. Then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Juice Robinson started hitting some right hands to Starks. So Starks ended up countering with a lariat and ended up taking Robinson down. So Starks ended up hitting some offense on Robinson. And we had Starks end up going for the cover. Robinson ended up kicking out. Robinson was looking to go for a lariat, but he ended up getting dropped by Starks. Starks ended up heading to the ropes. He ended up delivering a springboard splash, but Robinson had his knees up, which stopped Starks in his tracks. Starks ended up heading to the corner, but Robinson ended up hitting Starks hard. He ended up sending him up for a Hurricanrana, and then Robinson ended up hitting a lariat. So Robinson ended up going for the cover, to which Starks ended up kicking out. Starks then ended up rolling up Robinson, and Robinson kicked out. Starks then avoided the juices loose from Robinson, and then Starks ended up delivering a spear to Robinson, and then a Rochambeau. So Starks ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Starks ended up winning the match. So post-match, Jay White ended up rushing down, and he beat up Starks. But Starks ended up getting out of the Blade Runner, only for Robinson to save Jay White from the Rochambeau, because Starks was going to hit Jay White with the Rochambeau. But pretty much, that was basically that. But overall, this was a good match between Starks and Juice Robinson. So it looks like next, Ricky Starks is going to be taking on Jay White. So it should be a good match there. Then we saw Matt Hardy. Video package with Matt Hardy. Him and his issues with the firm. So this Friday on Rampage, there's going to be a firm deletion, which is going to be taking place at the Hardy compound. So that's going to be taking place on Rampage this Friday, which Rampage is going to be on at 6:30 on TNT. And then we had Jungle Boy and Darby Allin. They were getting hyped up for the main event. So Darby Allin ended up leaving. MJF ended up coming in. So MJF ended up telling Jungle Boy that all he has to do is betray Darby Allin. Because he was saying to Jungle Boy, oh, think about what he could do for his career, what MJF can do for Jungle Boy's career. So MJF ended up saying that Darby Allin isn't world championship material. So MJF ended up offering Jungle Boy a spot next to the throne. But Jungle Boy ended up saying that he's looking for the crown and that he's going to be the next world champion. So Darby Allin then walked in, and he ended up seeing MJF and Jungle Boy talking together. So pretty much that was basically that. Main event. The Four Pillars tag team match. Jungle Boy and Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara and MJF. This was a pretty good tag team match here. So the match started off with Guevara and Jungle Boy. Guevara ended up getting an early advantage over Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy ended up hitting an arm drag to Guevara and then a drop kick. Guevara ended up retreating to the corner. MJF ended up telling the ref to keep Jungle Boy back. So Jungle Boy tagged in Darby Allin. Sammy Guevara ended up taking in MJF, so Darby and MJF went at it. MJF ended up taking Darby Allin down with the headlock. So Darby ended up hitting some offense, leading to a cradle on MJF, to which MJF ended up kicking out. MJF then retreated to the corner, and he was stepping out with Guevara to have a discussion. MJF ended up coming back into the ring. He ended up telling Darby that he wants Jungle Boy. So Darby Allin ended up tagging in Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy ended up going after MJF. So MJF was complaining about how Jungle Boy was pulling his hair. So the ref got distracted. Guevara ended up trying to hold Jungle Boy down. MJF ended up having to stop himself from hitting Guevara. So we had Darby end up tagging in. So MJF ended up distracting the ref. Guevara ended up hitting Darby in the back, giving MJF an opening on Darby. So MJF ended up tagging in Guevara. The ref was once again distracted. Guevara ended up getting the scarf from MJF, and Guevara ended up choking out Darby with the scarf, with MJF's scarf. So Guevara nearly ended up getting caught by the ref. So MJF then ended up forcing the ref to keep his focus on Jungle Boy, but Darby ended up turning around. So he ended up using MJF's scarf on MJF and Guevara. So Darby was choking both of them out with the scarf. Darby ended up going to tag Jungle Boy, but he was taken off of the ring apron by MJF. So MJF started taunting the crowd as Dynamite ended up going to commercial. So then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Darby Allin ended up taking Guevara down. Darby was going for the tag, but he kept getting cut off by Guevara and MJF. They didn't want Darby to tag in Jungle Boy. But Darby ended up sliding underneath both Guevara and MJF. He made the hot tag to Jungle Boy. MJF then stopped the offense, but he was then taken down by Jungle Boy. So Jungle Boy ended up clearing the ring. He ended up hitting dives on both Guevara and MJF on the outside. So Jungle Boy made it back into the ring, and we had Darby, wasn't there. So we had Jungle Boy end up hitting a dive on Guevara. So Jungle Boy then delivered a powerbomb on Guevara. Jungle Boy ended up going for the cover, and Guevara ended up kicking out. So MJF then intercepted Jungle Boy on the turnbuckle, which allowed Guevara to go for the Spanish Fly, to which he did end up hitting it on Jungle Boy. So Guevara ended up going for the cover, and Jungle Boy ended up kicking out. Guevara then tagged in MJF. MJF started unloading on Jungle Boy with some punches, and then he tagged back in Guevara. So Guevara and MJF then double teamed on Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy then ended up hitting an Enziguri, and then he ended up tagging in Darby. So Darby ended up taking MJF down, as well as Guevara. MJF ended up hitting Darby down. He ended up going for the cover, to which Darby kicked out. So Jungle Boy ended up making a blind tag, and it allowed Jungle Boy to hit a snare trap on MJF, but Sammy ended up breaking up the snare trap with a double stomp. So MJF and Guevara were looking to go for a double dive, but MJF ended up thinking better of it as Guevara ended up diving out. So Guevara ended up bringing Jungle Boy back into the ring. So MJF ended up going for the cover, to which Jungle Boy ended up kicking out. So MJF was frustrated. Guevara was encouraging him on the outside. So then later on, we had MJF and Guevara. They ended up arguing. And then Guevara ended up making the tag of his own. He ended up getting a near fall. And so Guevara and MJF were arguing about trying to get the win. So then MJF ended up slapping Guevara across his face. Guevara didn't like that. He ended up dropping MJF, and MJF ended up getting rolled up by Guevara, to which MJF ended up kicking out. Jungle Boy was looking to pin Guevara, but Darby ended up getting a blind tag. Darby ended up hitting a coffin drop after Jungle Boy ended up getting out of the way. So Darby ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Jungle Boy and Darby Allin ended up winning the match. So we had Jungle Boy and Darby Allin end up arguing with each other post-match. MJF ended up escaping to the ramp. And now the match at Double or Nothing will be a 4 pillars 4-way match for the AEW World Championship. So MJF was pissed off about that, and he was arguing with some little kid, sitting, floor seat. So pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this was a good 4 pillars tag team match. And now the match at Double or Nothing will be a 4 pillars 4-way for the World Championship. But overall, Dynamite tonight, very mid-show it was, in my opinion. It was not a good show. I mean, we had a Tres de Mayo Battle Royal, which, was thrown randomly on the show. Saraya and Willow Nightingale, absolutely boring match. Wardlow, another squash for Wardlow to do. So, overall, mid-show it was. But anyways, that's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And next video will be my movie review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm going to see it tomorrow night, so there will be a movie review of it. Very much looking forward to it. Heard good things about it so far, that people that have saw it early, like the critics. So very much looking forward to the film tomorrow. But anyways, until that video, I'll see you all later.